How about something a little more uplifting? Welcome to Positive Listicles, and today we are counting down on the top 10 positive news stories of 2022. These are crazy times we are living in, and these 10 news stories will give you hope for the remainder of 2022. So here are the top 10 positive news stories of 2022. If you like the video and find the content meaningful, then kindly press the super thanks button and contribute whatever you can to the channel. Your contributions will help us create more engaging and informative positive videos. Number 10. Man wins €200 million on the lottery and donates almost all of it to save the earth. €200 million. That's how much an anonymous Frenchman won in the Euro Millions jackpot lottery, and almost the sum total of how much he gave towards the preservation of tropical rainforest in West Africa and forests in his native country. The lucky winner established the Nyama Endowment Fund, named after a town in Côte d'Ivoire, where it's understood he spent a lot of time. His winnings will go for the protection and revitalization of forests, the preservation and regeneration of biodiversity, and the support of family caregivers. I only played during large jackpots for one purpose, to devote most of this sum to the creation of a foundation, he wrote in an open letter on the fund's website. It was the second largest jackpot in the lottery's history. The winner is only known to be a retiree in the south of France who wants to spread the message that humans can preserve the natural environment if we want to, and that giving makes people more happy than having. Number 9. Anonymous donor pays off student debt for entire 2022 college class in Texas. Students at a Texas college graduated last week not only with their diplomas, but with their balances cleared suddenly by an anonymous donor. More than 100 students assembled for the 133rd graduation ceremony at Wiley College and were shocked to hear President and CEO Dr. Herman J. Felton Jr. announce that their balances had been paid off. The recent pandemic had exacerbated some students' ability to pay their debts, so some graduates and parents in the audience in Marshall, Texas, were especially thrilled to hear the news. The estimated total owed by the class of 2022 was $300,000. Our commitment to our students goes beyond their time while they are enrolled, said Felton. We are grateful for this anonymous donor who will assist the students in paying off their balances. Wiley College, with its focus on social good and leadership, has reduced its tuition in the past years to $17,500 to cover fees, room, and board. Now the school's motto is even more appropriate: go forth inspired. Number 8. With his handmade bowl, this 12-year-old raised $325,000 for Ukrainian kids. After a young boy's woodworking project went viral, he seized on his new internet following to raise money, not for himself, but for the children of Ukraine. When Gabriel Clarkey's proud dad tweeted a link to his son's hobby of carving wooden bowls and posting them for sale on Instagram, it went viral, and his Insta followers jumped from 6 to 227,000 in just 48 hours. Rather than fulfilling the 20,000 requests for wooden bowls, Clarkey Woodwork, who lives in Cumbria in northern England, announced that he would make one single bowl called the Gabriel's Bowl for Ukraine to be given out in a lottery to anyone who makes a donation to save the children Ukraine. Virality struck once again, and a $6,260 appeal turned into $325,000 success, with nearly 15,000 people donating. Part of the viral bump came when the appeal came to the attention of J.K. Rowling, Nick Offerman, and Stephen Fry, who all passed it along to their unfathomable numbers of followers. Gabriel's Bowl for Ukraine now has a new home in Renuka Chapman, and the $325,000 will go a long way in benefiting the children of Ukraine. Number 7. Almost $13 million raised for animal shelters to honor the late celebrity with the hashtag Betty White Challenge. Joanne Worley and Loretta Swit were among the celebrities who began a campaign on social media called the hashtag Betty White Challenge in honor of Betty White's 100th birthday. The actress died on New Year's Eve, just weeks before her centennial celebration of January 17, but because she is so beloved, the campaign has taken flight to raise millions for animals. Actors and Others for Animals, the charity for which she served on the board of directors, launched the campaign asking for donations of $100 for Betty's 100th birthday. Dozens of other groups benefited too, as the public began sending in money to local shelters in Ms. White's name. Almost 400,000 people used Facebook and Instagram to donate to the challenge, raising an incredible $12.7 million for animal shelters and rescuers all over the country, with 100% of the pledges going directly to the organizations. 2 Philadelphia shelters brought in $100,000, a Los Angeles Zoo charity got $70,000, an Arkansas shelter was flooded with over $12,000, and Dubuque, Iowa shelters received $13,000. Betty had prepared a video to share on her 100th birthday, which was recorded just days before her death.
I just want to thank you all for your love and support over the years. Thank you so much, and stick around.
Number 6. Heroic New York police officer runs out on thin ice to rescue dog floundering in frozen lake. Officer Jonathan Smith was called to Bond Lake near Lewiston, New York, after receiving reports of a Labrador that had fallen in about 50 yards from the shore. In this heart-and-mouth footage captured by a fellow officer's body cam, the brave cop throws off some equipment before dashing out onto the ice without any caution for his own safety. The owner had been walking the 10-month-old pup around the lake on January 5 when the pup spotted a distant flock of geese landing on the water and bolted towards them. Horrified, the pup's owner watched as the dog fell into the freezing water at the edge of the ice. Frantically, they called 911, and 15 minutes later, Officer Smith and 2 other officers from the police department arrived. Without hesitation or rescue equipment, the officer removed his vest and gun belt and hustled over the ice towards an exhausted pup. When he got close enough to her, Officer Smith grabbed the pooch and pulled her from the water so she was able to run back over the ice to her owner. Lewiston Police Department posted the body cam footage from the rescue on their Facebook page, along with the message from the pup's owner. Officer Smith was also honored recently for pulling a woman from a burning building in November and has been working at Lewiston Police Department since July 2020. Number 5. After husband dies, 83-year-old Muddy Mildred runs her 3rd Tough Mudder race to provide clean water. Muddy Mildred Wilson is at it again. The 83-year-old with 2 Tough Mudder races to her name just crushed a 3rd one, becoming the oldest person ever to finish the famous 5K. The Tough Mudder 5K in Missouri, Wilson's home state, was honored to feature the octogenarian for the 3rd time, and in this event, she was raising money to drill a freshwater well in a rural African village. In 2021, when she completed her 2nd 5K, she dedicated it to her late husband Farrell, who was able to see her cross the finish line for her first race in 2019. Now she's doing it for her son, Danny Wilson, who is the leader of the youth group working to raise money to drill wells in Africa. I will get muddy so others can drink clean water. I would love for you to help me make the vision a reality, Mildred wrote on the GoFundMe page. The village in question in Africa has a single water hole about the same color as the Tough Mudder ponds that Wilson must crawl through early on in the 5K. If it doesn't rain, the villagers must travel over a literal mountain range to find the next one. Danny and Mildred hope to raise the $5,000 that they set out to achieve through their GoFundMe campaign. Number 4. Woman ensures safety of passengers by waving her red sari to stop a train after spotting broken track. A brave woman may have saved hundreds of lives in India by waving her red sari to stop a train after spotting broken tracks further down the line. Omvati Devi waved the flowing red garment in front of an approaching train after noticing part of the line was faulty. Spotting the woman, the driver was able to stop the train just in the nick of time, avoiding potential disaster. Omvati's quick thinking benefited more than hundreds of passengers aboard the train in India. The woman, who's been praised for her heroic actions, said that, "I was on my way to the land for routine work, and it was then when I stumbled to found a broken track. I used my sari to tie it around the track to thwart any untoward incident, which luckily did work when the driver applied brakes." Number 3. 100 nations take action to save oceans from illegal fishing and plastic pollution. Representatives from more than 100 countries have committed to measures aimed at preserving the ocean from human harm, including stepping up the fight against illegal fishing, cutting plastic pollution, and better protecting international waters. The French president, Emmanuel Macron, hosting the high-level session of the One Ocean Summit, said that 2022 was a decisive year and we should take here clear and firm commitments. The 27 European Union states and 16 others agreed to pursue a global agreement by the end of the year to regulate the sustainable use of the high seas, waters lying outside any one country's jurisdiction, and preserve their biodiversity. Half a dozen more countries joined a plastics economy global commitment, backed by the UN Environment Programme, to help governments and businesses transition to a circular economy aimed at recycling or reusing 100% of all plastics. Number 2. A hero just passing by saves young mom and son from dying in Wyoming house fire. A passerby is being hailed as a hero for risking his own life to help rescue a Wyoming family after their Jamestown home erupted into flames early this month. The 34-year-old mother and her 4 young children were asleep in their Jamestown house when a fire erupted in the home. Ryan Pasberg was running late for work when he smelled smoke and saw flames coming from a bedroom window. When he didn't see any emergency lights, the 32-year-old decided to pull into the driveway, where he saw a young girl and 2 boys leaving the house. The 3 children told Pasberg that their mother and 4-year-old little brother were still inside, and without hesitation he entered the residence through a garage door and stepped into the kitchen. Pasberg told authorities that he could not see anything inside because of heavy smoke, so he crawled on his hands and knees on the floor several feet into the kitchen before he bumped into the small child. He immediately grabbed the boy around the waist, picked him up, and carried him outside. He then entered the burning home a second time, this time crawling through the kitchen deeper into the house in search of the children's missing mother. Moments later, Pasberg found the woman lying on the floor, struggling to breathe. After dragging her outside, he noticed that she was unresponsive and no longer breathing, so he began performing life-saving measures until she suddenly took a gasp of air. Pasberg then drove the family away from the now raging fire to the end of the driveway near the highway and awaited the arrival of emergency first responders. Sheriff Deputy Jason Moore said he could not recall ever witnessing such courage and selflessness as that displayed by Pasberg, who surely saved the lives of the young mother and son. Not only was his bravery on display, but his generosity and compassion. Pasberg later purchased several $100s worth of clothing and necessities and delivered them to the family at their grandmother's house. Number 1. The cancer trial's unexpected result, remission in every patient. It was a small trial, just 18 rectal cancer patients, every one of whom took the same drug. But the results were astonishing. The cancer vanished in every single patient, undetectable by physical exam, endoscopy, PET scans, or MRI scans. These rectal cancer patients had faced grueling treatments, chemotherapy, radiation, and most likely, life-altering surgery that could result in bowel, urinary and sexual dysfunction. Some would need colostomy bags. They entered the study thinking that when it was over, they would have to undergo those procedures because no one really expected their tumors to disappear. But they got a surprise: no further treatment was necessary. Another surprise was that none of the patients had clinically significant complications. There were a lot of happy tears, said Dr. Andrea Sursek, an oncologist at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center and a co-author of the paper, which was presented at the annual meeting of the American Society of Clinical Oncology. Hope this breakthrough in cancer treatment will benefit mankind and help many people suffering from cancer. If you like the video and find the content meaningful, then kindly press the super thanks button and contribute whatever you can to the channel. Your contributions will help us create more engaging and informative positive videos. Like, subscribe and hit the bell icon to receive notifications for upcoming positive listicle videos.